Hello and welcome to Cha-Ching Chats, episode 4. And we are here. I'm Sarah,
I'm Cheryl.
and we are here with our guest.
Marcus Dixon's Pickens.
And a lot
And
of you that are resellers will already know who Marcus is. And I am super, super thrilled that we have him here today. The three of us have all grown our reseller businesses and other avenues over about the same time period. So yeah, for the last 3 years, we've kind of all, I've known Marcus and I've known Sarah, and this is big for me because Marcus and I have both been growing and hitting six figures and stuff, and it's just been
exciting
to be part of watching him grow and watching Sarah grow, and so yeah, I'm super excited about doing this one.
yeah, and Marcus, so you know, Cheryl has brought your name up several times when we were going through a list of people that we wanted to interview. And she kept saying, okay, I want to add, I want to put Marcus in there. I just think he's got a really good channel and he supported me. And she's just brought it up a lot. So she thinks very highly of you. So I'm excited to learn all about what you do.
Okay. Well, I think I think highly of Cheryl as well. And she's also been like my, financial person for the last 2 years now. So I trust her a lot, and it means a lot that you brought me up, Cheryl. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Sure thing. So Marcus, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, what exactly do you want to know? Just business or what?
Yeah. So how did you get started
So here's the thing. I'm a felon. I've been to prison, and so I don't have a lot of opportunities available to me. So rather than go back to what I'm very familiar with, since being saved as a Christian, I know I can't go back to the streets. So I Googled how to make money from home, and reselling popped up, one of many things. And I got into selling like hype sneakers, like Jordans and things like that. And it was okay, right? But I live in a tiny little town, like a very small town. So it's not a lot of opportunity for hype sneakers here. I don't live in a big city to where I can get a bunch of pairs of sneakers at. And so I had to start buying them from people from resales on YouTube or Instagram or, StockX, these high platforms. And my margins were very, very tiny. And so I had joined a sneaker like reselling class, and two guys in there. One was actually in tech and sports and Chris's daily refinement group. And another guy that ran the class were both prior eBay sellers. And they were like, we sell clothes online and we sell this online and that online. And I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in that because I had seen Harry Tornado's videos at first. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with none of that, like hard goods. And what is all this? I'm trying to sell sneakers. So eventually I realized I was going to have to swallow the hype reseller sneaker pride and start branching out to what I could get, which was everything seller. And so I dove into the everything seller, and that kind of took off. And so once I started seeing the numbers climb, I was like, there's real potential here. And so from there, I just dug in and start trying to learn everything about, what's good, what makes a item a good listing and things like that. And I just started really seeing the potential. And from there, I've just kind of evolved over the time with guidance and courses and things like that from people that knew what they were talking about, and just put my little touch on it.
That's amazing. So you started what, 3 years ago? Is that right?
I started like right at the end of 2020, so like October of 2020.
Okay. And how has your sourcing changed since 2020?
Yeah, so from the beginning, like I said, I was doing online kind of sneakers, but then I went from totally jumping out the shift on that to doing like thrift stores, the Goodwills, all the local thrift stores to me. And I was just doing retail thrifts for the longest, for about a year and a half. Well, then I realized that if I'm really going to try to like grow this thing, because I was trying to do volume and do scale because I was only making like low margins because everything I was buying at the thrift is overpriced here at least. So like Levi's are like 20 bucks, 12 to 20 bucks for a pair. Yeah. So
Wow.
there wasn't a lot of margin. So I was like, if I'm going to be paying for stuff in the thrift, let me try the bins. So I started going to the bins, and then from there, like everything changed. I was able to start having some margin, and I was able to find a lot more items. So I've been doing the bins for the last 2.5 years or so.
That's that's great. I live in the Midwest
Yeah, I do
and
too.
okay. And so my bins are 2 hours
Mine
in
is
either
too.
direction. Yeah.
I live in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, so I drive to St. Louis to go
Okay.
thrifting up at the bins there, and it's like almost 2 hours away. So,
Yeah.
but it's worth it.
How often do you drive to the
Just once a
bins?
week, I go every Monday, and I buy the
Yeah,
whole week's worth of inventory then.
That's
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 fabulous.
see, now that's interesting. I had kind of automatically, I mean, I went to the bins when I got a chance to,
Yeah,
but the closest ones to me were an hour and a half plus also.
yeah,
So it never, I just didn't really go.
right.
The first year that, well, I guess the first full year that I was doing reselling, my husband was also working out of town,
Mhm.
and he was working up in York, PA, and there's a Ben's right there in York. And
Yeah,
so I would go up there, uh, go to the Ben's all day,
mm,
stay with him in the hotel that night, get up and hit the Ben's again the next morning, and then come home and process
yeah,
everything.
yeah. That's the way to go, though. If I had a Benz near me, my model would be totally different, though. So right now, I go up there and I buy as many items as I can that have like a ideally 25 to $30 average sales price. Obviously, if I find something that sells for more, I'm going to pick it up, but I try to not go below anything that sells for less than 20 bucks unless it's like a graphic tee because those sell pretty quickly for me. But everything else, like before I switched to this model, which was in September of last year, I was just buying whatever. It didn't matter what the sales price was because I was listing 90 a day. So I was selling significant volume to where
Wow.
I was able to eat up the low sales price for the money I was making off of it in volume. So when I realized that I didn't enjoy that anymore, and I had no quality of life. Like my relationships were falling apart. I was neglecting my walk with Christ. I was neglecting my time in church, and I was idolizing eBay. And so for me, that's a sin. So I had to stop doing that. And now I do 20 a day, and I'm still having pretty much the same results as I was with selling items that sell for more money and listing less of them instead of doing 90 a day of just random crap. You know what I mean? So I feel like what I'm doing now is much better. It's much more, sustainable. I have a quality of life again. I feel good. I get to go to the gym. I hadn't went to the gym in like 2.5, 3 months almost, right before I changed everything. And for anyone that knows me, that's really major because I go to the gym every day. Like I love lifting weights. It's how I unwind. It's fun for me, so for me to not do something that I love just for work, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I understand that aspect, not for myself, but because my husband is all about getting his gym time in. I mean,
Mhm.
we have our gym is right next door,
Yeah.
so I have absolutely no excuse, and
Yeah.
I still don't go in there. Um,
It's
but
not for
but yeah,
everybody.
I mean, it's his thing. Like if
Yeah.
he doesn't go in there and do his workout Monday through
Mhm.
Friday,
Yeah.
he's not worth living with.
Understandable.
So yeah, totally get that. You have to have that balance in your life and whatever that means for you,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Whatever it looks like. Work-life balance is, I think it's much more important than people vocalize. Some people put too much emphasis on it. Like you can't just be all play and no work, but you got to be some work and some play, to have an equal balance of just joy, but also being responsible to be able to sustain that joy, because if you can't pay to do anything or pay your bills, you're going to be stressed. But if all you do is never play, then you're also going to be stressed. So, and that's what I was feeling.
Yeah. Do you feel like when people start out, so if people were to start out wanting to sell on eBay.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel like people start out with kind of the everything seller where they sell whatever they can get around their house?
Hmm.
And I feel like, no, maybe this is me, you tell me, but I feel like it takes people 2 to 3 years to kind of find their groove and find out, okay, this, they get the squirrel brain and they want to do everything that they hear,
Hmm.
everybody else doing. Oh, this is a good idea. Oh, this is a good idea. And then they kind of like, I almost like calm down and they
Yeah.
focus on, they're like, okay, this is what's for me.
Well, so from what I've noticed over the 4 years of doing this, is the majority of people that started around the time that I did start out as everything sellers. But what I'm seeing now, especially in my coaching program, is a lot of people are coming into it with the intent to be niche down from the jump because they see, okay, well, this person's having success doing this type of business model. Let me try that. Let me not try everything. Let me try this and see if it works the same for me, which I'm seeing a lot of people have some success doing it that way. I do feel like there's some, value to being an everything seller because you can get in the clothing game and hate it and literally just not enjoy it. But I feel like everybody should start out with being an everything seller because just because I sell clothing and I do okay with it doesn't mean everyone's going to be able to have the same sourcing, the same prices that I'm paying, the same setup. Everything's different. And I notice it because my eBay store has a large amount of followers on it because I do YouTube, that people come. I put my store on auction and didn't say anything about it in public. And I had people messaging me on my YouTube comments. Did you know your store's on auction? Did you know this? Did you know? And I'm like, yeah, who do you think put it on there? So like people watch my store like hawks, you know what I mean? And so when they see that I do something, they try to implement these things. But if they don't know the reason why I'm doing it, they could hurt themselves trying to follow me. You know what I mean? And so I think it really, really is it's imperative that people understand why they should do what they should do inside their individual store, not why Marcus does what he does inside his store. Especially if you got like 500 items, 1,000 items, that's a totally different business model than someone with 9,500 items or 9,100 items. So I think just learning what you enjoy selling is the biggest part of all that because you could hate selling. That's why I stopped selling sneakers. It's a good ROI, but I hate cleaning them. And they're big and they take up a lot of space. So, I'm not going to sell sneakers, but I know Renzi's killing it doing sneakers now, even though they're not on, they're doing it all and whatnot now. They got their processes down. They got their sourcing route down. I couldn't get enough sneakers to build a six-figure sneaker selling business, but their YouTube videos makes it seem so easy. So that's why you got to find out what works for you.
Well, they have a
Yeah.
lot of people sourcing for they've
Now they
got a
do. Yeah,
whole
they've
network.
grown. Yeah.
Yes.
But when I first got into selling sneakers, and doing the hype sneakers, Renzi was popping up on my chart because I was doing StockX retail arbitrage. And that's how they got started, was being in Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Ross, like legit buying the shoes in the store, selling them while they were in line, cashing out on them. You know what I mean? So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it too. But I couldn't do it because not everything you can't replicate everything the way that everybody else does, especially as popularity grows. My channel doesn't help. There's a lady that sold her house and moved where I source at simply because of my videos. How extreme is that? You know what I mean? So
Wow.
you know uh you can't say that we're not affecting the demographic out here. I feel the firsthand effects of my channel when I go source. People are like, I drove from over here just to come source at this Benz because your videos, and while that's great and all, I feel the effects on my personal business, and I'm not even
Right.
huge. So imagine if I had 100,000 subscribers or something like that. So you know
Well, I mean, I guess that's probably why Tech was always, he kept his face hidden.
yeah,
Nobody knew who he was.
yeah.
He didn't come out and start doing videos until
Hmm.
after he stopped.
Yeah. Yep. The
'Cause
cat's out of the bag though now. So because even in 2020, when he was having inventory brought to him, you know what I mean? Like the days of him going out to the thrift and his 55 store thrift route and all that, I bet you if he was to go out there and do that now, yeah, he would still clean up because he's got the
Oh,
knowledge. He's got the knowledge, but I don't think he would do as well as he was doing because there's so much more competition. Now maybe he could. I'm not sending shots or anything like that. I'm
right.
just saying there's so many more people doing this stuff now that I don't think it's the same as pre-COVID. And for anyone to come in here and think that they're going to have those types of results that he was having, a new person isn't going to come in and just, oh well, Tech did it, I can do it too. No, it's going to take years. He's been doing this 15, 16 years. There's
Right.
experience that goes into it. Marcus now is not the same sorcerer, thrifter slash reseller as I was when I started. I was looking up comps on everything. I was, well, this looks like it'll sell, and then I go look it up and it's garbage. And I'm like, I don't have to do all that now. You gain knowledge as you go along. The items that are my bread and butter now are items that I was like, nobody's gonna buy that. Why would anybody buy that? Now it's like I don't pass this up for no reason, and you learn as you go along.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of funny. Because here I am nearly what I guess I actually started in 2019. I'm still saying 3 years and we're working on 5.
Mhm,
Um, and I still don't know brands. The reason that I sell what I sell is because
mhm.
I don't need to know brands.
Right, right. Yeah, it's
I
go ahead.
when I guess I started eBay um when I was 20 something, and I sold longer burger baskets. So I
Hmm.
feel like I've evolved, and I always kind of had like the core niche, but my core niche changed each time I went back to eBay.
Yeah,
Um, when I had my daughter, then I was selling Vera Bradley bags,
yeah.
and I would travel to this is when they would have outlet sales,
Hmm.
many places, and I would travel and send the Vera Bradley bags, ship them back, and then go to the next state
Hmm.
where they had it, and then I would just process mountains and mountains and mountains of Vera Bradley bags.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did for a long time. And then after I got divorced, then I'm like, okay, let's start over with what are we going to do? Let's go back to what you know. And um, I'm, I'm a homeschool mom, and there was a homeschool bookstore, and she was going out of business. And so I would literally, at the beginning, she started her books like, okay, everything in the store is $3, and that includes textbooks. And I don't,
Hmm.
if you know anything about homeschooling, these books can be 60 to $100,
Yeah.
you know, for one subject, and we got to cover 8. So, so I would literally at the beginning when she was first going out of business, I would buy like 4 or 5, go home and list them
Hmm.
on eBay and on a couple of different other sites and see what I could get from them, get the PayPal money, and then go buy some more.
Right.
And so that's what I did until eventually she got down to where books were a quarter,
Mm.
10 cents. And I finally just bought it all
Bought it all.
because
Yeah.
I just had enough
Hmm.
income at that point that I could just do that. And now I'm mainly a clothing seller.
Yeah.
Um, but now I'm mainly a women's tops clothing seller is like my niche,
Yeah.
but I do not like selling women's clothes.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard market,
It is.
and I much prefer men's clothes, but
Mm.
Rake and Profit came out years and years ago
Hmm.
with his courses about how to sell men's dress shirts, and
Hmm.
that just flooded the market.
Yeah.
And so I had to pivot, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll try a couple women's shirts, and then I
Yeah.
just completely veered off to that.
Yeah.
So
And I think how you said that you veered off. I think everybody, if they're going to see any type of success, because especially like when with people like myself putting out videos and things like of what I'm picking up, what I'm selling, and all that stuff, uh, there's going to be people that imitate you with rake and profit. The dress you can't sell dress shirts. I mean, like you can sell them, but the market's so flooded that the sell through is garbage on it. So it's like
yeah,
I put stuff up that I know that I've sold and it continues to sell for me. And there's people that say all the time, I don't see how you're selling what you're selling for the prices you're selling it at. Well, everybody's got their thing that they can do successfully. And that's what you got to pour gas on. If it's working, just go all in on that. Because eventually that's not going to work either. Then you're going to have to pivot again. And so like as long as you're willing to not be like married to, oh, this is what I've done though. This is how I've done it for the last 2 years. Well, 2 years ago, eBay was totally different than how it is now. So if you're always willing to evolve and like not be like, well, this is how I got here, you got to keep changing to keep going where you're trying to go. So I think that's smart of you to not stay stuck in one type of, from books and Vera Bradley and, all that stuff to where you're at now. Women's tops may not be, successful for you in a year or two, but hey, while it is, get all you can out of it.
Right, right. And I think that's important for people to understand is that with this business, with the reselling business, you've got to be able to pivot and you can't stop learning
Right.
because you don't know when your market's going to get flooded. I mean,
Yep.
tomorrow someone may come out with a course on XYZ and you're done.
Yep.
You have to
Yeah.
learn something else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I saw somebody said something about the vintage pantyhose category was like an untapped gold mine for a while there. And then somebody made a video about it. I think Craigslist Hunter or somebody, auction professor, somebody that had a substantial following said something about how I buy these for like 25 cents and sell them for $30 all day long. And then next thing you know, the market's flooded and you can't give them away for $5. So that's all it takes is one person with notoriety talking about what they sell, and your market's immediately flooded, you know?
I
Yeah.
completely agree with that. I had already, because of my niche, I was already doing that before that came out. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I was selling them
Yeah.
and now I'm
And
not.
you got hit. Yep. That's what
But
happens.
it's funny because the people that are still selling them are modeling them.
Yeah, I could believe that.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you put these jeans on and show me what they look like on you?
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
get,
dude,
yeah.
bro. I'm a dude. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah,
Not-
that's a whole nother thing right there,
That's a
Cheryl.
whole nother,
Yeah.
platform. I'm not.
Yeah.
Marcus, you mentioned a coaching program. So tell me about your coaching program.
It's just pretty much just teaching beginners how to really get started. And then if you're like not necessarily a beginner, but you've got like a year or two under your belt and you're trying to reach six figures, that's what I hope you do. Really just hold you accountable because there's a lot of people that got into reselling because, oh, I want to work for myself. I want to have that freedom, but then they don't realize that reselling is more work than any W2 jobs you could have. You know what I mean? And if you really want to be successful at it, you got to treat it like it's a real job. So I just not necessarily hold their hand, but I show them what they need to do, processes, procedures, and really just the consistency part of it. Like you have to actually do what you say you're going to do, and then it just answering any questions that they may have, store reviews, things like that, helping them look up comps, things like that, for anybody that doesn't know how to do it, because there's people of all walks of life and ages, and people that want to leave the career they're in for something more simple, people that are retiring. There's a lady that just retired and there she just wants additional cash. So I just try to help people grow their business because I understand that there's still money to be made. Even though eBay's all messed up right now and super competitive, you could still make money in it. So that's what it's about.
That's do you know, okay, this is a personal side note, but
Mhm.
do you know anything about ball cards?
But no, I don't.
Okay. I need to find someone. So I bought 150,000 ball cards and I started to sprinkle them in my store and list a couple a day. And then I realized, you know what? I need to save this for when I'm too old to go sourcing at the
Or
bins.
you could just like put them on Whatnot because that's where a lot of card sellers are on Whatnot, like killing it over there. So you could do that.
Oh,
There's a guy that my brother, he was just telling me about. He's doing cards over there. I'm not sure exactly what kind of cards, but he's getting to the point to where he's printing out so many labels. He needs a label printer, and he was like, "What kind of label printer do you use?" And I was like, "I use a Rolo." But I'm gonna sell the guy. I have a $70 one I got off Amazon. It's like I'll sell him this label printer, So he's doing substantial over there, to just be starting out. He's only been on there 2 weeks, and he swears by
wow.
Whatnot already. So I mean, maybe try that.
See, that's the difference. There's so many different selling platforms now,
Yeah,
and they're good for different things, I
yeah,
think.
yep.
Have you sold on Depop or
I'm active on Depop, but I haven't made a sale yet,
okay.
which is
And then
strange. But I don't have the option to send offers though.
okay. What about Poshmark?
I'm doing okay on Poshmark. Last year I got on there about September and I did about $12,000 in the last 4 months of the year. So that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I did Poshmark last year at the end of the year, the live shows. I've never had any great super
Hmm.
to write home about
Yeah.
as the platform, but I did very well in the live shows, but it
Mhm.
also takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I
So,
haven't signed up for live shows yet. I have the notification telling me that I can sign up for it. I'm just, I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's that I'm intimidated of it per se. I just know that I'm going to lose a lot of money while I build a following, and I don't know how long that's going to
oh,
take. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
right now, like I'm approved for Whatnot, and I just been telling people follow my Whatnot. When I hit 100 followers, I'll do a show, and I get a few here and there. Every time I mention it, I'll get like four or five. So right now I'm at 44 followers on Whatnot. Eventually I'll get to 100, and I'll just probably use some of the items that is on my eBay store that I need to
Mhm.
take down and try to like sell it over there, see how it goes. But I'm also in the process of like picking up like t-shirts and things that I know I always have success selling on eBay, and I'm gonna put some of those in the Whatnot show too. Just try and see if I could stop listing on eBay, I'd be very happy. I would love to not list. I don't want to store anything. I don't want to do none of that stuff. If I could be successful on Whatnot and source at the bins like my buddy Chris from Flip the World does. He holds items up in the bins on Whatnot. He doesn't buy anything that hasn't sold, so all his inventory is already
Uh,
paid for, and he's doing 50K every 90 days. So I'll do that too.
That's that.
that's
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's like a mobile business. You
yeah,
could you could go around to different, you could travel,
yeah,
and then once a week you hit the bins,
yeah,
you do your Whatnot show, and you sell the stuff, you make your money for the week, and then you
yeah,
go to another location.
yeah.
It's like you travel
He
around
does
the
three
United
lives a
States.
week, I think. He does three lives a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that, live in the bins. And he's making, 50K every 90 days. And so, it's much better than working every day, all day on eBay, cleaning process.
Absolutely.
He's not even cleaning anything. Holds it up in the bins, ships it to you dirty. So it is, you get it just how he got it. And I feel like that would save me so much money on laundry detergent. I pay my mom to wash all the eBay clothes, and I pay her water bill and stuff like that. So like I'd save money on that aspect alone. So, it's you got to evolve with the times, you know what I mean? And like if there's a better way, because everybody's like the thrift stores are so high, well, you can eliminate that problem totally by just having the person buy the item for you, and then you just make whatever little profit off of it that you're going to make and move on with it. Yeah, you got to do volume, but at the end of the day, like you don't have to buy anything. You're not out of any cost of goods. You know what I mean? Like so it's all good. It's all profit.
That's crazy.
I think it's genius.
yes. We are gonna you were talking about traveling. So we are gonna stop our podcast right now. And we're gonna stop it. And the next we're gonna switch over to Cheryl's channel. So make sure you go follow Cheryl's channel and you get the end of what Marcus is gonna talk to us about.
That's a great marketing